we're going to look and unpack this Psalm 18 a little further. All right. I want, let's do this again. How about Netanyahu just give us a shorter version of his intro, just to get us all back on track. And then we'll jump into the verses where we are. Is that cool? All right.
Okay, Psalm 18, what led David to write Psalm 18 was just the journey of his life. David's life and what we know of David started when he fought a giant by the name of Goliath. And as you know, of course, he killed that Goliath, and eventually he had other battles to fight. And one of the biggest battles that he fought was against a person that he respected greatly, which was King Saul. So David eventually became king, but his last battle ended up being fighting with giants. In 2 Samuel chapter 21, I believe starting with verse 15 through the end of the chapter is what we said. And after that battle, the soldiers that in David's army told him, David, look, you can't fight with us anymore. That giant almost killed you. And they basically retired David. And David probably went back home. He sat on his balcony and just got to thinking about his whole life, from the first giant he fought to the last giant he fought. And he just thought about all his problems and the floods and the storms and the torrents and the waves that came through his life. And he just recognized and realized the thing that we all realize is that Yahuwah had brought him through it all. It was Yahuwah that gave him the power and the strength, the ability to be that man of war. It was Yahuwah who had taken him and helped him to evade the javelins that King Saul was throwing at him. It was Yahuwah who helped him to defeat the Philistines time and time again. And it was Yahuwah who protected him when he was on the run from King Saul, and even on the run from his own son, his own children attacking him. And in light of all of that, David being a person of worship, he just sat down and he penned these words in Psalm 18, which mirrors 2 Samuel chapter 22.
In other words, go make sure you mark that on that Psalm, 2 Samuel 22. Really, you can just start at verse 1, and it will give you basically the same introduction. And you can see these words run like parallel. Okay? You good?
Right. So I think we went through the first 6 verses, and we talked about the first verse in detail, and Yoshiyahu brought out an excellent point on how David regarded himself as a servant in verse 1. He said he was the servant of Yahuwah. And he recalled how he was delivered from his enemies and from the hand of Saul. And that how he loved Yahuwah. In verse 2, we broke down, I guess we erased it, but we said that Yahuwah was his rock or his cliff. It was warriors mentality. It was the place of a high point or advantage where you're looking down on your enemy, where you could shoot your enemy with your arrows. And Yahuwah was his fortress, which in Hebrew, broken down, we said that was the ambush or the net or the hidden trap for the enemy. And Yahuwah was his deliverer. In the Hebrew, we said that was the escape. And, of course, Yahuwah was his Elohim and his strength. And his buckler, Moreh brought that out pretty good, too, where he said the buckler was the short shield that arm shield. Thank you.
Good
that,
job, bro.
Yeah, she remembered that. Hallelujah. All right. I got to take better notes. And that was the one when the enemy was casting the sword and swinging the sword at you. He would take his arm and just throw that buckler up, short shield, and block those blows from the enemy. And of course, Yahuwah was the horn of his salvation. And I think we discussed that, how they blew the trumpet in times of war. They also blew the trumpet when the battle was over and they knew it was victorious. And Yahuwah was his high tower. And so in verse 3, it says, I will call on Yahuwah, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. And Moreh took us through that. That was excellent points he made also on how saved to the Hebrew mind is not saved as we said in Christianity. Saved in Christianity means you float to a place called heaven that we all probably know by now. No man that hadn't come from there is going to go there. we have several verses to point that out. You know, I think our Hamashiach said in John 3:13 that only the ones that descended from Shamayim is going to go back to Shamayim. And but saved to the Hebrew mind means saved from your enemies.
Yes, sir.
From your enemies.
Yes, sir.
And that's evidence, I think, also in Luke 1:71 as the mission of our Hamashiach, how he's going to come back and save us or save his people from their enemies. So, also, we spoke of verse 4. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. And how Moreh brought that out also about the grave, and how death, in verse 5, how death and hell was the grave, rather, in verse 5. And in verse 6,
we're going to start there.
Yeah. Okay, is where we ended up stopping. Caleb, did I miss anything you want to cover?
No, you summed it up pretty good. But I was just, like I said, when I just going over it this morning, I was just kind of looking at what we just went over. What we just talked. I was just asking my question. That's when we get to verse 6. Is about when we're talking about in my distress. When King Dawid was talking about in his distress, and yet, as you see, the first part of the scripture, or verse 1, is he's giving praise to Yah about all his attributes. So that just would kind of remind me of stuff that I do. You give all the praise and the glory. And then as you start seeing how verse 3 and 4, 5, and 6, we start talking about how it started changing. When you start to see the persecution come upon him. And then I was just asking myself this question, verse 6, it says, when you talk about in my distress, I called upon Yahuwah. So, and I was just asking myself, well, why is King Dawid in distress? So just this basic question I was just wondering. And just going back and looking at it in verse 1, it says, I will love thee, O Yahuwah, my strength. So when you just understand that King Dawid is going through distress because of loving the Yahuwah. Mm-hmm. Because when you look at it, because who is his adversary?
That's good.
I mean, just because you don't have to do anything but just be loving Yahuwah and following his laws, statutes, commandments, and you already have an adversary.
That's right.
So in order to understand who you are, we have to remember to keep our focus on Yahuwah, even in the midst of what we're going through.
Yes.
So we look at 2 Timothy, I think that was in 3:12. sorry, let's see here. 2 Timothy. Oh, it's working today. Let's see, 2 Timothy 3:12, it says, it says, ye and all that will live godly in Yeshua or Hamashiach shall suffer persecution. So you don't have to do nothing to suffer persecution, but
just live right.
Live right.
Wow, beautiful.
And your adversary will be knocking at your door.
Hallelujah.
Guaranteed. And sending all those around you, even loved ones, in your very old household.
That's right. That's right. That's good. Huh?
And when you kind of then, and I'm also looking at 2 Timothy 16 through 17, and it was just, and all scriptures is given by inspiration of Elohim and is profitable for doctrine, reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of Yah may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. So as we study and understand our adversary, we understand that he's going to be there because we love and we follow our Creator. So that's why David was distressed. But he stayed focused on who Yahuwah was and what the attributes of Yahuwah, how he said he would deliver us. He put his care in the Creator's hand.
Hallelujah.
Oh, come on, give him a hand. That was excellent.
Hallelujah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's meditation. That means he looked at that thing, turned it over, started asking questions, and then went to Torah to answer the question. So here's something. How many of y'all ever heard the term, the grass ain't always greener on the other side?
Yes, I heard it.
Everybody talking about they want to be the king.
That's right.
You have something for that? Yeah.
Is it also because Yah was trying to further elevate him to reward him higher? Because doesn't it say when you're being persecuted, count it joy?
That's right. Count it all joy.
Okay.
James 1. Yeah.
So the idea of persecution itself being an opportunity for the Most High Yah to elevate you to another level.
Right.
Hallelujah.
Right.
That's why in Romans chapter, I think it's chapter 5, it says we glory in persecution because we know persecution got some in it. It's work and patience.
Right.
And then that patience work and hope. And that hope will make us not ashamed. That means not embarrassed, not frustrated when it's all said and done. So, that's a good verse. Thank you for that. All right, now I want to bring us about this distress. Most of us think that if we could just be the leader, everything will be all right. I'm tired of being a regular citizen. I want to be the boss. James Brown, one of our seers, said it costs. Come on, talk back to me. What it costs.
To be the boss.
And in the song that he made famous, he said, I paid it. I paid the cost to be the boss. That means it was all on my shoulder. He was one of our great preachers. Great preachers. And he was trying to explain something. You don't know what goes along with leadership. It's a high cost to pay.
That's right.
Here, it's hard for us to believe this, that David's telling the truth. He's the king. He's in distress. How's the king in distress? You're the king. Y'all be careful about clamoring for the leadership positions to be seen. Try to get into that uppity up and muckety muck chair. You have no clue of the distress. Can I give you the Hebrew word? The Hebrew word for distress, we're going to walk through this. If y'all got Bible dictionaries, y'all got your phones, whatever you're using to fact check me, go on and do it, is zar. And the word literally means narrow. And it comes from the idea of a very tight place, or to be squeezed or afflicted by trouble. So, Distress is like more than just saying I'm upset, but that the pressure is squeezing down on me and it's about to kill me. That's distress. So if you have in a battle, say the enemy surrounds you, right? And then they just keep marching closer and closer, and your way of escape get more narrow and more narrow. The word narrow, by the way, is also the word for distress, because this path that we're on is called what?
The narrow path.
It's the narrow way. It don't mean skinny. It means difficult. It means hard pressed. When you squeeze something like clay, you make it narrow. It got narrow as a result of the pressure. But there's another hidden gem in this word, and that is the place where he was, right? Quote unquote hiding, started squeezing him in. I know y'all, everybody has seen these movies, so don't even act like you haven't. The hero is running, right? Like in like a, let me pick maybe it was a Tomb Raider. Or, you know what I mean? So Laura Croft or whatever, or she running, and just when she get to a spot where she thinks it's safe, she start breathing like, whew. She lean up against a lever, and it go click, and the walls go. And now the walls are starting to squeeze. She said, really? And then she got to find something to put in. Thank you. She got to find something to put to just keep putting it. You know what I mean? That's also the picture of narrow way, where you were in a place you thought was safe, and all of a sudden that particular place. How many of your homes have been like that? And it was a lot. All of a sudden now my home, well, let me go to the club. Now your friends at the club like, hey, what you doing here? I thought you was like, so you being squeezed everywhere. I want you to understand, the king is saying that. How is a king saying I'm being pressed, being squeezed? And here's my sermon for tonight, or our message for tonight, is I love Yahuwah because he heard my cry. Repeat after me, say, he heard my cry.
My cry.
Now this is an exercise that I do when I study something like this. I would say, he heard my cry, and I would emphasize first, he heard my cry. So let's do that. Let's make the he loud and then say heard my cry. Ready, go.
He heard my cry.
Now this time, emphasize the second word. Put the first word normal. Emphasize the second word. Go.
He heard my cry.
Emphasize the third word. Make all the other ones plain. Go.
He heard my cry.
Now do the fourth word. Come on. Go.
He heard my cry.
Did y'all feel something different each time?
Yeah.
And the rest of this song is about what happened when he finally heard my cry. What did he do? When he finally heard me crying, what did he do? So can we get into it?
Yes.
So in my distress, the walls are squeezing me in. My enemies are squeezing me. The walls are squeezing me. I'm in a place I thought I was safe for a little while. Can't stay here. Got to keep moving. Because you know we came out of Psalm 11. They said, hey man, you got to go. Flee to the mountains. He was like, boy, y'all something else. But he understood what they were saying, man. Every place we go getting tight. He said, so I called upon Yahuwah. And cried up unto my Elohim. And he what? It's right in the text. I ain't making it up. Verse 6 is where I got the title. And he what?
Heard.
He heard. He heard. The particular word for heard is our word shama. Not shema, but shama. And the idea behind the word shama is that he heard my voice intelligently. He understood it. He got it. It reached his ears. Now, so what is so important about that? He's saying, I got his attention.
Right.
I got his attention. I got his ear. Caleb said, I'm in this trouble because I love him. I'm in distress because I'm with him. But I've been calling. I know he loved me. I love him. But it seems like he ain't answering. And more enemies is coming up. I'm like, yeah. And then more news. Amen. 15 more troops of yours, man. Go home with Absalom. Yeah. Oh, you know they just, the Philistines just got 50 more men. Yeah. Man, King Saul just strapped up, and it's actually true. He at one time I think he strapped up 2,000 men. Can you hear David in the cave? Like, okay, we bad, but yeah. He's in distress now. He said, and he heard my voice. He heard my voice.
Hallelujah.
So the word there is call. And we have that word meaning to cry, but it is a different kind of cry. There's two kinds of cries most of the time in Scripture. There is the silent cry, and there's the loud cry. Both cries y'all can hear, but there's different times and in different situations when certain cries are appropriate. In life, some of our crying is internal.
Right.
And sometimes you smiling on the outside. Ooh.
That's right.
But crying on the inside. My mama said, you live long enough, you're going to have to laugh to keep from crying.
That's right. That's true.
But that is not the cry he's talking about here. Here the king is saying, I can no longer keep crying. I can't keep this cry in. I got to cry out. And that's this word here. Can you imagine you got a king crying to the top of his lungs? We would use the word screaming, but because screaming have a negative connotation, we have to say he was just crying out to the top of his lungs. One definition literally means he was bellowing it. He was really pushing his cry. Now I want you to see how that works. You start off going, I can handle it. And at night you just go to bed and you start praying. You're like, oh yeah, you crying to carry. They put me on Facebook and they said I was putting up devil signs. And they said I'm trying to go back under the law. When I think about some of the stuff we cry over, it ain't even worth wetting your tear. Dry your tear, that ain't nothing about crying for. Of course, that's going to put you on Facebook, but did they cut your face? Because we have not yet resisted under blood. So let's get that straight. But we cry and care, no. You're right. But when it becomes real, you stop just thinking that stuff and you start vocalizing it. I'm spending enough time because I want you to hear something. But you still keeping your pitch and your voice down. But when the situation gets so tight that even though y'all can hear the quiet voice, when it get to a point where can't nothing else help, some of y'all ain't never been there, but I've been there. You will cry loud. Even though you know he can hear you before you opened your mouth. Something in you said, maybe. And some of us brothers, you know, we ain't finna wake up the whole family. We just say, babe, I'll be back. Say, where you going? No, I don't know. I'll be right back. Well, we drive around the corner to a canal bank or go to the back of the park somewhere, find a lake or something. Why y'all laughing? Y'all done did it. Drove off, got looked around, made sure nobody was looking at you. Wow. Let it rip, boy. He said, that's what I did. The king is trying to tell you what he did. Now, who'd he cry to? Verse 6, I ain't left that yet. Who'd he cry to? His power, his Elohim. You studied that word already, so I don't have to keep going into it, but it is the word meaning his strong power. Y'all spending too much time crying on Facebook. No, nobody care. Y'all crying on social media. Anybody care? And then you gonna call your best friend and cry. No, he can't help you. Then you gonna call Moreh crying. You gonna make me cry. That's when you call me, man. People, no, the way people will lay their burdens on you. I'm not saying don't call them over. That's not my point. I'm saying I can't do it, y'all. Only thing I can do maybe is cry louder with you. But this idea of being able to do what the Elohim. So he's letting you know, I cried to him. Which means that's where you need to cry. We need to meditate on crying. Because when he cried to his Elohim, it said, he heard my voice out of his temple. Yes. Watch this. My cry came before him, even where?
Unto his ears.
Now, when we start talking about eyes and ears and nose and mouth of our Elohim, there's a Greek word that is just used to express that. It's called anthropomorphic. And all it means is that you describe or ascribe to Yah human characteristics. That's all that word means, big old fancy word. Simply meaning that you're speaking to Yah as though he's a human. Now here's what the Christian church didn't know about those anthropomorphic expressions. Is that the word became flesh.
Come on, hallelujah. Yes.
So David is really waxing prophetic when he talks about the cry reached the ear of Yah because there was a time when he took upon human flesh that he did have an ear. So what do we mean when it got his ear? And I mentioned this before. It literally got his attention. I've been watching these parents. Not all of y'all. Some of y'all can hear when your baby's crying.
Right.
No, yeah, you hear everybody else's child, but you don't move though.
Oh. Right.
You get my point?
That's right.
You hear crying all day, but that didn't make you get up. But when your baby was crying, what you did first, you listened to see what kind of cry it was.
Right.
You ain't even buy the baby, and somebody say your baby crying. They ain't really crying.
Yeah.
I want y'all to stay with me. That's the first thing you do. They crying, you can't hear your baby crying. That's it. She faking.
Yeah.
How come you know the cry of your child if they faking or not faking? If you know that, don't you think y'all know when you faking and when your cry ain't real? He ain't finna jump up every time you holler his name. He got things to do. Like control the world. Rule the universe. Raise up king and sits down others. And you over here fake crying. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, you think the mama don't know what she talking about. You go over, get the baby start laughing. You little Hebrew, you. But watch this. Flip it though. Baby start crying and it turns into something. That's a call. It's not just a cry. It's a call. And mama, nobody got to talk to Momma Nia. It's right now. Now I'm just using mama, but daddy too. It's right now. This is what David's saying here. Is that Yah knows that this cry right here is coming from the heart. And he's moving because it's finally reached his ears. Very important. And how do I know that the name of this lesson is, he heard my cry. How do I know that he heard my cry? Watch how your grandpa is going to wax poetic here. He's going to fall into some imagery and poetry that's mind-boggling. What's the first thing he says? When my cry hit his ear, what happened? Verse 7.
And the earth shook, trembled.
The whole earth. When my Elohim heard just little old me, he shook the whole earth. He's trying to tell the enemy, leave my baby alone. But the enemy think it's just tectonic plates under pressure. Sliding up against one another, popping rocks. He's like, no, baby, that earthquake wasn't no just a random slide of the tectonic plates. That earthquake was my dad getting up.
That's right.
That was my Abba getting up to come see about me. The earth shook. Got this word in Hebrew, I want to give it to you. Ga'ash. it's not just to shake like you just shake something. Anybody else got Hebrew definitions? 'Cause I told y'all you should follow me. Anybody else got a definition of that word? As soon as you pull it up, it's gonna tell you what it is. It's I'm telling you what it is. It's ga'ash. If you just have a Strong's, it's fine. 1607.
Move, trouble,
Huh?
Toss.
Come on.
trouble,
Come on.
toss themselves.
Do what? Toss and it really means to agitate violently. In other words, this is terror. Terror. When you call on Yah and he shake the earth wildly, you done woke up the king. You done woke up your Elohim. He's coming to fight.
Yes.
And his steps are so heavy that it's shaking violently the whole earth every time he moves. You know, that's like my dad. Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Boom. Boom. Here comes my daddy. Everybody wondering, what's that noise? Cups are shaking. You know how that works? You sitting there trying to, your enemy's over there trying to have a little tea. Boom, cup shake. They think, oh, never mind. Don't bother that shaking. But David knows while he's in that tight place, my dad coming.
That's right.
So now David, gets encouraged because of the earthquake that has followed his cry. He knows it's not random. He knows that earthquake is for me. Watch this. The earth shook and trembled. Now that was the second word he was talking about. That means to undulate. Everything as a result of fear. As another poetic expression. He said, when Yah got up and started walking this way, his creation, knowing, remember, the creation knows the creator. The picture is the creation got scared.
Right.
The trees was like, what you do? What did you do? Other trees was like, no, I've been just leaving. Rocks talk to each other like, oh, you done woke up. Rocks like, no, man, man, dogs look at each other like, really? You have to be fucking all night? Like, it wasn't me. The whole creation is having issues. They scared to death. That's his picture. David said, when my daddy get up and take a step, it shakes the whole world and the whole earth gets scared. Because nobody know why he coming. Because I'm praying over in the little cave. In a narrow place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do y'all know what happened in the New Testament when Yahushua was on the boat and that wind was blowing? Remember that? Yeah. And the waves was acting a fool. They didn't know he was on the boat. They just whipped up, started acting a fool while he's out there. Man, he got up, he was like, shut up.
Yes.
Right.
Put a muzzle on it. What are you doing? The Bible said it, not me. That the wind stopped, ceased. I'm talking about. Shut up. Over. They know their creator. Wade was acting all big and bad, hitting the bowl, hitting the bowl, hitting the bowl. Boy, he saw his king, they was like, going on back down there. Matter of fact, I'm gonna actually rock the boat a little nicer. Here, let me get you to the shore. And by the way, if you ever feel like walking on me, I'll hold you. Next time you won't even need a boat to cross. You can just, I got you. Creation. I want you to see your dad's poetry here, because you can't see it in English. I want you to see your grandpa's poetry here about how things happen when he prayed. The foundations, which we know that word is Mashada. We have a hill in our Holy Land called Masada, and the idea is a strong place. So he's saying the foundations also of the hills, which is the word for hill. He said, moved. Again, in English, can't see it. The word is quivered. They're not just moving. The mountains are shaking with fear. They don't know why he's coming. That's the poetic picture. So the mountains, Zion, this is meditation. Where have we seen mountains quaking and mountains moving in the scripture? What book? It's so clear. Huh? Oh, that's good. Yes. I wouldn't even think about that. What else? When you talking about when he came down upon the mountain, how the mountain caught on fire and smoking, and the people was like, we want to talk to him face to face. Moses was like, well, take a bath and let's go. Boy, that mountain started shaking. They was like, we good. Hey, Moshe. But you know Hebrews, we praying for you, y'all. We praying for you. Thank you for that. That's good. That's a good one. Anyone? That's why it's better to have put the minds together. Anybody else have one?
In Zechariah.
What you get in Zechariah?
Let me see. I think it's 14.
Mm-hmm.
When Mount Olivet's gonna split.
When it's gonna cleave. Clave. How's it said?
Clave and
Right. It's gonna be claving. And the other times we see the mountains quaking, moving. Huh?
Right.
When Hamashiach got crucified.
Mm-hmm.
Any other time.
Revelation.
Come on. What? We know at least in chapter 6, right? When the rich men, poor men, kings and captains, bond and free, gonna be running to the rocks and to the mountains, begging them, fall on them. And the mountain be like, no. Then here come these rich people, you know, they got money. You gotta read the list of people. They gonna tell the mountain, then hide us. So I thought you was big bad uppity up in muckety muck. Now you want us to hide you. Old folk used to have a song, they said, ain't no hiding place. And each one of those instances that was mentioned tonight was always when Yah was about to show up and exercise vengeance.
Right.
Exercise justice. He about to show up and do something. So we know something here. Your grandfather is being poetic here, and it's beautiful. All right, thank you. So he said the hills move, but the word is way stronger than move. It means to quiver. It said with violent emotion, especially anger or fear, to be afraid, to be in awe, to be disquieted, to fall out. Can you see the big old mountain just be like, Ooh. He just shaking him. That's a picture. That's the picture he's trying to paint. It's poetic. It's beautiful. All right? And we're shaking because, why?
He was wrong.
Because he. The King James say raw. We say pissed off.
Yeah. He was mad.
What? I'm just using that term. Has made him so mad. What done? I'm going to use TikTok because some of y'all don't like the word piss, even though piss is in the Bible. Matter of fact, we got to that verse one time I was reading in a group of people, and they was reading the word, and when they said, we're going to cut off all of those who piss against the wall, they said, all those who pee against the wall. Well, you might have been in that class. We was going through Samuel. He said, we'll cut off all the men who, they got to that word piss, they said, pee. It's funny, you're a grown man say pee. Said piss against the wall. All right, but anyway, let me get back to it. He's so mad.
So mad.
Now, what has made Yah, Dawid's Elohim, so mad that he got up, took a step, earth shook, mountains quake, hills, the foundations is loose, everything is scared, looking at each other, talking, well, what did you do? What happened to cause this reaction? Does anybody know what's got Yah so mad? Go ahead.
Came against one of his children.
Simple as that. Somebody made his baby cry. Somebody made his righteous favorite baby cry. Parents don't act like they act like they don't have favorites. Oh, I love all my children the same. Okay, that's true. You go to all their cries. I get it.
Got a good description,
Come on.
Mark 9, 42. It says, whosoever shall offend one of these little ones that believes in me,
Come with it,
is
man.
better for him that a millstone hang about his neck and that were cast into the sea.
That's right. That's good.
Right on time verse right there.
That's good.
Right on time. You made my baby cry. You threatening to kill my child?
He was anointed.
My number one warrior, y'all done all got together, pressed him on every side. The one that you know loved me after my own heart. And you thought I wasn't going to never move the whole time I was watching. But every situation that he got in, I'm like, he can handle that one. He good there. I know he can whoop there if I ain't tripping. But now, the fight has become unfair. Y'all have stacked it way too deep. As bad as he is, he can't whoop all of y'all. But mano, I just let him handle his business. Matter of fact, 1-on-5, I ain't getting up. If it's just him and 10 warriors, I'm like, that ain't enough. He can handle that. If it's him and 100, I might look and watch him fight. That'll be interesting, but he gonna win. Cause he bad. I trained him like that. I gave him skills. Now him against 1,000. I'm not going down there, but I will tell Netanyahu and Caleb to go help him out. He good. Y'all get my point? But now there's 1,000, 2,000, his own son, giants. And he's backed into a corner and he's crying out to me. I'm coming. Because now you're about to see the real deal. Now you're about to see Big Papa.
Right.
You thought he was something. You need to know who his strength is.
That's right.
You need to know who his backing is. This is David writing about his Elohim, his dad. It's poetic and it's powerful. He said because he was wroth, he said, there went out of what? Verse 8.
Smoke.
Come on now. A what?
Smoke.
Where did the smoke come out of?
Nostrils.
Can I tell you, we Hebrews? This is Hebrew, we Israelites. All of us in this room know, if you had a father, I should use that term, if you had a dad, one of the terms we use when our parents get mad, angry, pissed off, we say they hot. You see how your grandpa described the emotion of Abaya? He's hot. The Hebrew word for anger is nose. The word for anger in Hebrew means the nose. Who said that? Come on, Ken. What are we known for as a people? When they want to talk about us, they talk about our what? Eventually, y'all gonna be like, Moreh, you write about us being the book and being the people of the book, and you write about this book holding all our culture. Y'all preserved it in the book for us. If your nose is this thin, how is flaring?
That ain't gonna get the fire burning.
That's right.
I already know how you got. See, and this ain't prejudice. I'm saying if your nose is thin, a thin, skinny nose, how would that ever become a picture of anger? But you let one of us get mad. Ooh, them nostrils get to flaring like you about to suck up all the oxygen. Ain't but like 2 oxygen molecules still floating around after you done it. Ooh. Nose flaring, you know it's on like popcorn. Why? He hot. In your Bible that you've been holding your whole life is your people and your culture and how they saw Elohim all your life. And we didn't know who we were. Out of his nostrils, smoke came out of his nostrils, and what? Come on, talk back still in 8. Fire. Came out of his what? He saw Yah as like this huge dragon. He saw Yah as this power to where when he speaks, fire. To do what? Kill. To destroy. I don't need fire coming out of Yah's mouth to light a candle. I can light my own candles. Because some of us want to holler when y'all cut the lights off in your house. Why, y'all? Why? Y'all like, oh, I ain't got to get up and come see you because your lights got cut off. Strike a match. Put it on a candle and go to sleep. If you understood what I said, even though it was kind of comical, say amen.
Amen.
You got it, didn't you?
I got it.
Stop calling him on stupid stuff.
Stop doing it.
You got a candle and a match, and you crying because it's dark. He done already prepared you for it getting dark. He gave you the candle, gave you the match. Strike it, light it, pray, read the Bible, go to bed. He'll bring some light in the morning, the sun coming up.
Amen.
Boy, y'all panicking because your lights got cut off. And after about the third, 34th time, man, my life got cut off when I came to the truth and lost everything. Holding, I was just putting up candles in the car and putting up little putting up lanterns and stuff, kerosene lights and stuff.
Right.
Just for say, come in the house, nothing happens. Say, oh well. Get the lantern.
All right.
So what we gonna do? At first we was like, how we gonna take a bath? Man, boil some water.
That's right. That's right.
Been there, done that.
All day.
Man, boil the water, put it in the tub, man, put a little cold water in the tub, man, go watch your milk. We'll be all right, get through a couple of days, we'll find some ways to get some money, pay the life. We ain't bugging him about something like that. We got our health and our strength, a roof over our head, clothes on our back, shoes on our feet, car in the garage. You mad at him, you yelling at him, talking about what you ain't gonna do now and all that. Boy, y'all better stop that foolishness. When we were young, we learned the story of a boy who cried wolf. And when he would cry, the father would jump up, run out there, and be fake. And don't do it no more. The kid do it again, Papa jump up, run out there. Don't do it no more. One day he was out there and it was a real wolf. He cried to Papa. Papa was with his buddies playing dominoes, drinking a little bit of brown liquor. That little Hebrew did that every other day. And the wolf told him, stop calling his name in vain. Well, he told me to pray about everything. He's not talking about praying for the stuff he done already done for you. You thanking him for that. Let me get on this rabbit trail for a little while longer because I need to stay here for a moment. Why are you still begging him for clothes? And you can't fit nothing else in your closet. You mad. And I'm going to tell you how I know you mad. Try to move all your stuff to another house. You got to call somebody to help you. That's how much stuff you got.